Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Tele Esports Series Finland Summer Split 2021 playoffs. That is a mouthful, but I got it in one. Didn't even call it Tele Masters this
And we're
time.
very proud.
I'm proud of me.
You
I'm
should
vibrant
be.
also, by the way, if you can't read. That's the name
How'd you get it?
of the podcast.
They don't
Rooting
get
over
it.
on the side
They don't
here.
get it.
Yeah, they don't know Reed. Reed's lovely though. We're going to be going into our second game of this series. I've already just this whole pre-show segment's gone down
Yeah.
already. But you know what? You know who is looking forward to this next game? Blue
Tell
Whites.
me.
They're 1-0 up in this series, and
Yeah.
goodness me, last game was not super quick, but it was super one-sided.
Yeah, I think I'll give you that one. Blue Whites had a very strong opening. They had a very strong mid game. It sort of faltered a little bit more. So if we had to pick a hole in any part of their sort of play this time round, it was that mid game area where, don't get me wrong, Epic Avalanche really fought for it. But at the end of the day, the compositional differences didn't quite allow for a comeback mechanic quite as strong as they would have liked. Blue Whites quite handily able to dismantle the late game team fights, and off the back of a distinctive mid lane carry, that we'll hope to be see replicated for the Blue White squad.
Big Pobo was he was something. He was certainly playing League of Legends,
He
and
was.
it was pretty spooky. Last is also a criminal League of Legends player last game on the Kindred. He got the first blood. And okay, come on. Okay, between me and you, let's
Hmm.
close. Epic
Nobody's
Avalanche.
here.
5-point defense. Yeah.
Yes.
Don't just stick to it in pixel brush and call it a day. Because then you'll have to burn flashes and you'll still lose your top laner, actually, in the first blood. Which
Also
isn't
true.
optimal when you're against the Kindred, who's able to then snowball the game completely out of control until the Xerath decides that it's his turn to snowball the game completely out of control.
Hmm.
But are we expecting to see any champions that we saw last game banned? Like, are we going to see the Xerath again? Will we see the Kindred again?
I don't want to see Xerath banned. I feel like when you ban Xerath, you're just sort of confining yourself to a lack of understanding. I think that there's a lot of ways to deal with Xerath, and honestly, if you're able to just force proper engage, and maybe we take away the Kindred because that Kindred was a very devastating pick. The Lulu as well had its impacts, right? It's very difficult to tell when Lulu's doing the basics and when Lulu's doing the most extremities because sometimes they're one in the same here. But being able to keep on top of how your Lulu is performing, I think that either one of those two picks from the top side being taken away is a very real possibility.
Definitely could be. And I mean, the Lulu wasn't a big issue, like
Mm.
overtly. It wasn't like Kindred Superfed, Xerath Superfed, Desrim burning through. But the ability to keep people like Desrim alive when they really shouldn't have survived, Paimo in a couple of cases as well, turn team fights. And
Yeah,
in a
literally.
game where team fight wins for Epic Avalanche were at a premium, i.e. they got one, that I can remember, they can't afford to be losing by fine margins. And if they lose by fine margins this game, then the margin becomes massive and they are no longer playing in these playoffs, can no longer
Well,
win
yeah,
Tele
that's
Masters.
it.
Like, that's it, they're gone. So they need to pick up their bootstraps. They are on the red side this time, as you can see on your screen as we move perfectly to channel
Yeah.
select. That was well timed by Reed because I didn't plan that. And red side has won every game we've seen today on stream. So
This is their
Epic
time.
Avalanche win this one, 1-1. Blue Whites might as well just FF, right?
I agree. It's very similar to the trend of if Kindred gets a stack off of a first kill, you FF.
Oh
If
yeah, you FF, yeah.
Epic Avalanche get the first blood, or if they get red side, simply FF. I think that's a good way to go about it. If the enemy team gets red side, you just FF. That's probably the best way to play League of Legends, to be honest.
Oh, absolutely.
Can't think of a
It's
better
optional.
one offhand. Unless
No.
you know one? No, I don't think
No,
so.
not at all. If I get blue side, I FF everything.
Okay, well, there we go. That's that's our analysis. Thank you very much, everybody. We'll be back next week for the rest of. It's been a great stream. I'll see you guys later. Actually, though,
Back. But there's
Imagine.
plenty of bans: LeBlanc, Lee Sin, Varus, Aurelia, and Viego. Nothing shocking. Nothing we didn't see last game. There's the Samira away from Desrim. That makes sense. But now Blue Whites have the first pick. They can go for something. The Gwen was completely ignored last game, but the Ziggs snuck through. Hello.
Okay, picked on up here. Love to see that one. Still sticking true with Epic Avalanche and their Samira ban, so a little bit unanticipated, but with Ziggs being picked up through, Blue Whites immediately snapped that one up, unsurprisingly here. And for Epic Avalanche, right, we've talked about this red side quite a lot. I want to see them leave the last pick to Carvox. We saw him perform very well on the Wukong. Want to see him have an agency and a little bit of a counter pick, see if he can find some access through the lane. But this Lucian being collected here for Epic Avalanche, a very strong pickup. Not only is this a common pairing with the Ziggs because it gives you mixed damage in both of your roles, also, being able to deny that away and take it as a strong solo lane yourself, incredibly influential.
The Grasshopper. makes
Yes.
an appearance in the jungle. It's this pick we've been seeing a little bit more of on 11.14, which doesn't make super sense. I don't think he was touched on this patch, but a couple of champions around him were. And Lucian in the mid lane, pretty good into the Ziggs. We're going to see the Graves locked in.
Wow.
Okay, hear me out. Probably last this, realistically.
Solely
Team Graves mid.
Mm.
Homo on Graves sounds pretty fun to me.
Sounds like a big difference from game number 1, right? Graves, then Xerath, and then you go, yeah, let's stick to something that looks the same, and we'll pick Graves, you know, the long-range artillery poke AD carry, right? Nope, that's Kog'Maw we're describing. We've got Graves potentially, you know, as a solo laner. There's a chance it goes up to Bad Pie as well, but with the Lulu locked in, we saw him play that last game, it looked very strong. It was a really big tool for their victory. At the minute, it's Bluewhites that have got the flexibility in their draft, and at the present, Epic Avalanche feel like we know where the majority of their stuff's going.
I'd be surprised to see Lucian Yuumi bot lane as well.
Yes.
Because the cat doesn't do well with the short range, particularly. Wants something that she can keep alive a little bit longer, but the Yuumi doesn't open up for a lot of different things. I would have preferred to see something like the Brawl, just because you can put Lucian down bot lane and that's super aggressive. You can put the Brawl with something a little bit safer, like we saw last game from Bluewhites. It denies them as well, because Deferin was game fight changing in certain fights. The Yoni and the Ezreal both been taken off the table, like that from Bluewhites, just denying that most safe of bot lanes.
Yeah, and there's still a chance for them to go with something a little bit more stealthy, aka Twitch Yuumi. Obviously, we're not anticipating it. Twitch hasn't been in the meta for seasons upon seasons. You know, apart from the rare instance where we did get to see the Samsung white skin get picked on up. Shoutouts. Yeah. But we got obviously to wait and see what they collect for their bot laners, what the bans still remain to be actually, because AD carries could very well be focused by either side. There is this opportunity for Ziggs to be moved into the mid lane. There's that Xerath ban that you wanted here. They've taken your advice
Simple as.
And now with red side and a Xerath ban, I think it's game over.
Yeah, well, I mean, no, because Ziggs does a pretty similar job to Xerath, right? Poke mage, aggressive.
Yeah.
Can sit back and farm, can get a lot of damage down, likes to push down towers. It could easily be Pomo going mid. They haven't shown their hand in terms of what they want bot lane if that's the case, but Silas gonna be locked in. Very, very scary in a solo lane. Again, I would expect the Marksman to be the final pick, because Lucian Yuumi, not a huge fan.
Yeah.
But we'll have to see exactly what Bluewhites want to be picking into this. Where is this Lulu going? Where is this Ziggs going? Where is this Graves going for Bluewhites, as their final 2 picks will be confirmed pretty shortly.
And I wonder why they went for Silas this early. Feels like it's just going to be top lane, potentially as a counter pick to whatever Bluewhites look for. And, you know, this is putting a lot of emphasis then on that R5 pick. There's still a chance this is Lucian bot lane, still a chance this is Silas mid lane as such. But with Bluewhites taking away the Aphelios, that as a pairing with Lulu is a pairing as old as time. It sort of shows us that Ziggs is going into the mid lane here. And now they've got to pick up their top laner or potentially jungler, the GP as a hover. We don't like to talk about them, but Bad Pie locks it in here. So if Epic Avalanche want to send this Lucian up to the top side, that's a self-counter pick right there. There's a very real possibility that we just see that easy flex in. Mirza just takes the Silas into the mid lane, and we just get another traditional standard safe bot laner coming through.
There's plenty of opportunities for that to be the case. We'll have to see exactly where Epic Avalanche want to go for what could be their final game this season. They're rotating for a lot of different champions. But wait for the lock-in, because we don't talk about hovers around these parts. It'll be these it.
No.
So it's going to be Lucian bot with Yuumi, which I don't love. It will be the Silas top into Gangplank, which I don't love. It's going to be the Azir mid into Ziggs, which is fine.
Yeah, so, well, again, these are 2 long-range mid laners, right? We're expecting that either one of them is fairly free to pick up a little bit of CS somewhat freely. Azir has a lot better gank setup than the Ziggs. That Satchel Charge versus Emperor's Shuffle. I'm definitely sure who I would prefer in that instance. But obviously this puts Lastis onto the Graves. It puts the Ziggs into the mid lane here. So this is a very interesting situation. We are going to be a little bit later into the draft just because there's a little bit of a support DC going on. But
okay.
We got news.
The support DC'd, so Turbo Gandalf Turbo left the lobby. The Azir is actually Sivir, which makes a lot more sense. So we've got Sivir bot lane with Yuumi. That's a really nice, safe, clear bot lane. And into the Aphelios Lulu could actually potentially pick up some priority down here, which is very nice. It means that we're going to be seeing the Lucian into the Gangplank, which is hot. Lucian loves that lane state. It's going to be Ziggs into Silas, which is fine for both parties. Ziggs just sits back and farms, is pretty fine. But that, I'm much more happy about Epic Avalanche's chances with the draft that they actually picked, as opposed to the one that they picked by accident.
Yeah. I mean, we were sat here, right? We were kind of going, we don't love this, which is, I'm going to let you guys in on a little bit of inside knowledge here. It's Caster Talk for saying, might be a bit bad, but obviously might is the operative word right there. Taking that Lucian into the GP, we know that this is a favorable matchup for the Lucian. And with Bluewhites picking themselves into this here, it shows either an extreme amount of confidence in Bad Pie's capabilities on the GP, or a bit of naivety for them to just assume that the Lucian was locked into the mid lane. So either one of those, I'm hoping it's the confidence for Bad Pie to sort of say, yeah, you can pick Lucian, I will still take GP and I will still win the game, win the lane, whatever it is. Because GP as a team fighter later on, very, very scary.
I'm gonna proffer a potential counter to that argument. Bluewhites are super smart here, right? Last game, the only time that team fights were disrupted or looked bad for Bluewhites was when Carbox was able to dive in and disrupt the backline from Bluewhites.
Oh, they baited it. I see.
So what they were like is like, we've picked Ziggs. We're going to have Homer on a very similar style of champion where if he's allowed to just chill out, he's going to have a great time. And everyone's like, but Carbox, he was able to get into the backline, disrupt him. It's like, he's not going to be able to do that if he's a short range ADC though, is he? So they bait the counter pick top. They
dangle it.
Solution. They're like, "Oh, look at this good lane matchup. Look at this counter pick that we've given ourselves." And Carbox is like, "Hey." But Bluewhites are like, "Hey. Now you can't disrupt our backline." Except you might kill them if he gets fed off. So swings and roundabouts. But
it's one of those things where there's a reason that they've done it, right? That you've given them the Lucian, and Lucian as a lane matchup to the GP is very scary, and then you're like, well, this is Carwox, right? We've got Carwox on something that's not deep diving, ergo we win. But they've got Carwox in a lane where he should be winning innately, and maybe that's enough to snowball the game. And then there's the mouse eating the cheese, and then there's the cat that comes in and eats the mouse, and then eventually we may well just see an absolutely monstrous beast come out of that top lane that's able to scrap back and beat the cat itself. So we'll have to wait and see, because it's obviously very entertaining and very different from something that we've seen previously from Carvox himself. Obviously, the KO not too dissimilar in its play style, but as far as long range carries go, they're distinctly different champions.
Absolutely. Lucian in the late game does do a decent amount of damage, but has to be kind of in the mix in order to do that. Yes, the culling is very, very potent. If you can run it off a low health member like the Aphelios, like the Ziggs, you'll have a great time. And the front line from Bluewhites is a little bit, it's not fun. It's not like antique furniture. It's IKEA flat pack. Because Graves,
what does that mean?
Beefy. He's a little bit beefy, but not really. Like, all I'm saying is that if you have like a sturdy oak table and I like throw you into it, you're getting damaged.
Okay.
Right? So if Epic Avalanche throw themselves into the strong, sturdy front line that Bluewhites built last game, they got damaged because they jumped into that Brom constantly and got absolutely murdered. This game, they're throwing themselves into like a gritted up Graves and a Gangplank, I guess, and there's a Lulu shield there too. That's like a flat pack. If I'm throwing you through that, you're breaking the table. Is where I
see.
Not a good analogy.
I understand. I understand, because it's a lot more fragile, and they are going to get battered about a little bit, right? I see. I understand now. It's my bad. Don't worry. We're obviously not too worried about how well the front line will function for Bluewhites here, nor should Epic Avalanche be, because both of these squads are innately very, very squishy. There's no tank on either side, right? We talk about it being on one side, it's reciprocated across on the Epic Avalanche squad. They've got themselves proxy tanks, I'm going to call them, where they've got Silas healing up, they've got Yuumi doing healing for everybody. And Silas and Yuumi is a very potent combination. This is one of those games where I'm looking at anti-healing and saying that if Deferin and Turbo Gandalf haven't gone Putrefier as their second item, if not their first, something's gone a little bit wrong.
Executioner's calling first back, please, lads. Please and
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah,
Not you, Pomo. Pomo, you get the orb.
No, exclusively for Pomo, please.
Yeah, Pomo Executioner's calling first back.
AD Ziggs.
But it's oh right, okay. Let me tell you this. So I made this point when I was casting with Orcs, and he called me dumb. I then remade it with Jamada, and he called me dumb. So Rutu, we'll see if you can make a hat trick.
All right.
Hull Breaker Ziggs.
I don't I don't want to be that guy, but you may be a bit dumb. I know, I waited for the response because we actually didn't get the hat trick. We got a break in the meta with Reed, our producer, loves the idea of Hull Breaker Ziggs. But I'm gonna go one further and say that it's pretty bad.
It's good. VR needs to be careful. He might be caught out, but there's not any long range engage from Blue White, so they're going to be spotted out. And members of Epic Avalanche very quick to move down in support in case they chase further. And we'll actually get a bit of vision down. So very, very nice from Epic Avalanche. They've sent a couple members in. Don't want to contest too hard as members of Blue Whites, who are on the blue side this game, which is convenient for me because it means that I'll remember because that's their name and that's the color that they've got on their health bars. Epic Avalanche on the red side, they're not called Red Avalanche, so you know, a little bit less.
We don't care where they are.
Yeah, you know, they can, as long as they're at the top of a mountain. And I mean, but last game the Avalanche was underwhelming.
Yeah, subdued.
Describe that. Subdued Avalanche. Losing Avalanche. This game they need to be super epic because Blue Whites are very, very good. They played very, very well last game. And do you have a composition in this game that you like more than the other?
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to ask me more generally about League of Legends itself. You're asking me about these two games in particular, and I'm very grateful for that.
What were you thinking I was going to ask you? So League of Legends, eh?
Yeah. You know,
that's a video game, isn't
I was completely lost in the sauce right there. I'll level with you. It's my bad. Anyway, I'm going to give you the answer now, and I'm going to go out and say that just in general, I prefer Blue Whites. I'm never a fan of Graves here, and I've gotten to the point where calling him Graves is actually really difficult because I just call him detrimental names, regardless, like Grooves and Groves and stuff that diminishes his power. So calling him Graves is a little bit out of the ordinary for me right now. But outside of that, they have got very strong picks across the board. I think that Lulu is a better Yumi. I'm definitely on board with Ziggs and Aphelios as bot laners. I like to see that VL has committed though on EA side to this poke style of Sivir, right? Whenever you see Dark Harvest Sivir, what you don't want to see is them build crit. This is to all intents and purposes a poke champion, a little bit worse than what Varus could have been, as we do now find ourselves here with a cheeky wee pause.
A little pause as a treat, you know. We haven't had one yet, so we needed to. We got a couple last days. I was hopeful because SQ1 always has pauses. The SQ1 pause is a thing. So I was watching the games from the last series.
Yeah.
And I saw the third game a bunch of pauses. And I was like, excellent. Cool.
We're getting them out of the way.
Exodus and Rail are going to have to enjoy the pauses. We're going to be sound. And the first game was super clean. There was absolutely no delays, no pauses at all. So I was like, sick. We've cleared it. But no, that's absolutely not how my life works at all. But this game, right? What are we expecting to see like in the early stages? Is there somewhere we should be super keeping our eyes on, or is it a case of just seeing? Is there a team that should go ahead, or is it just going to be on like player ability?
I'm hoping to see early stages that Epic Avalanche actually find a lead with their Lucian pick. Right, it's that bait that they dangled in front of Epic Avalanche, and they've gone, "Hey, this is your early game win condition. Do you want it?" They snapped it up. They said yes. And now their opportunity here to try and converge on that and try and finish that off is exactly what we need to see. We need to see them bait in or take the bait and, run with it, right? They've got the fish. They now need to try and escape and see if they can get anywhere with that fact. And obviously, if they're able to do so, they'll be in a pretty decent spot. If not, then GP is going to be a late game monster and absolutely demolish them.
VL's getting a little bit demolished. Needs to be careful. Has the Yumi for some sustain, but remember, Yumi's mana costs are prohibitive, is how I would describe it. Not going to be able to scale up too heavily in the early stages at very least. But then the topside Bad Pie has discovered that he is in fact in a counter matchup.
Really? Yeah.
Up there. He needs to be careful.
Hopefully he doesn't get, 1v1'd. Obviously, this was a matchup that they knew they were going into with all intents and purposes. Top priority here in favor of EA. So this crab fight should go to Jonas here, to be honest. If it doesn't, then something's gone a little bit amiss. And there we go. Lastis acknowledging that they have to back off. Very happy about that one. May well even result in a double crab actually for EA.
Careful, a lot
He's
of damage
dead.
coming out of Merza. He flashed away, but he burns down. Merza picking up first blood for Epic Avalanche, gets the ball rolling.
And it's so unusual to see Ignite in the mid lane that Merza just capitalizes on Pomo's potential, just lack of respect, really, that the Silas is pumping out, able to take him down from half HP. Ziggs himself, as we know, not an inherently tanky champion, so if you get that Silas on top of you, you're going to be in danger, and exactly that happens. Flash is too late. Goes down to the Ignite. Merza holds their flash as well, and they'll be able to get a recall. Won't be able to TP back to the lane, but we'll have a decided advantage here. I was expecting it to be in the top lane. We find it in the mid lane.
Pomo's died more in the first 4 minutes of this game than he did in the entirety of the last one.
Unlucky.
Stats
Open.
for you. Open, yeah. You know, sometimes you just gotta go next. And it's
Mid
best of
died
3
once.
series.
Yeah.
So, if Epic Avalanche do win this game, they will go next into a third game. But that's how League of Legends works. Fun fact in playoffs. But it's only one death, right? Pomo has teleport, he can get back into lane. Silas has Ignite, so he kind of has to win the early exchanges and get himself an early kill or 2.
Yeah.
Vampire needs to be a little bit careful as Karlok steps forward.
He doesn't hold the freeze. Oh no. The wave was in such a good spot right there to just hold it outside of the turret and be a-okay. We've got 2 junglers though coming to the bot side.
It's going to be a 3v3 damage going through. Desrim has been exhausted, so needs to be careful as Yone's coming through. But so is
TPs.
Teleport coming in. It's going to be the Lucian who joins the fight as Lastus needs to walk away. But here comes Karlok. Does he have the damage? Yes, he does. Picks up 1, picks up 2 in the play with Yubi picking that one up. And now Deferan in full retreat will be able to escape. The Avalanche continues.
Nicely done here. We got ourselves a little bit of that snowball rolling. Bad Pie wasn't able to TP because of the laning pressure from earlier on. And this is what we were hoping for from Epic Avalanche. They're using their early game priority to make things happen. Down on the bot side, it's a very well read gank by Yones, able to turn what would have been a 3v2 back into their favor. And also with the Lucian TP coming down as well, it's all too much for the Blue-White squad, and they go down a little bit here in the early stages.
Yeah, they have. And the fact of the matter is, now we get to see what Blue-Whites are like from behind. Because last game, we didn't get that opportunity. They got the first blood about minute 20 seconds, and then didn't really let up. So now Epic Avalanche have themselves a lead. What can they do with it? Blue-White have themselves a deficit. Are they able to sustain through it? Because there are late game carries on both sides. Ziggs, we've seen what Pomo could do on the artillery mage. It's very scary. VL is on the Sivir, so you get enough farm on this champion and the game is kind of done. There's opportunities for both teams.
You know, I'll put an asterisk on that one for your Sivir point here. This is lethality Sivir, which, don't get me wrong, still slaps, still does a lot of damage, but doesn't have that 600 CS Sivir win condition of old that we're used to seeing, you know, when Teddy was back on Jin Air Green Wings and sort of birthed the 600 CS Sivir win condition with the crit Sivir build. It's not going to be that same level of late game impact from him, but don't get me wrong, Karlok's Merza, late game terrors themselves.
Absolutely, and that's a very, very good point to shout out, because the Sivir maybe is playing for a little bit more in the early stages, which means that Epic
Avalanche that segue, right?
Yeah, and needs to get the advantage, because Lucian has the advantage top, right? Silas and Ziggs, Merza's, you know, showing his dominance right now on your screen, pushing Pomo away and doing a lot of damage to him. So Blue-White's just in losing lanes across the board, really. And yeah, they might have some good opportunities late, as Bad Pie in a lot of trouble when Karzik shows up for this. The ultimate coming through from him, and it's going to be the flash forward. Can he get the kill? Can he eat the orange? Yes, he can! Yones is going to chase forward. The flash will cleave through and picks up the return kill, but I feel like Epic Avalanche didn't need to lose anyone there.
Yeah, and that is because they didn't. Your feelings are indeed correct here, Viperoon. Very well observed, and now they're going to be very much disappointed by that. I think kicking themselves is another way to be phrasing it, because giving over a kill to a GP in the Lucian matchup, somewhat cynical. All right, we talked about how good a matchup this is for the Lucian, and yes, he was down a level. Yes, he was fighting in the minion wave as an attempt at bait. It's one of those things where Yones never wants to come out the brush, because if he comes out, he's never getting the kill regardless. But if he doesn't, or that's what happens. Carvox dies because he's not winning the 1v1. It's a real difficult situation to try and navigate, and one that ultimately they don't have the tools for. So it's gonna be punished here. Gonna be the GP that's collecting a nice little injection of gold in a lane where he really shouldn't be. Already equal in CS, and actually down 100 gold, which is negligible really. You can see in the items that that's not really being built up all that much. And honestly, Bad Pie in a very strong position.
Still gonna get poked down though. Still gonna have an unpleasant League of Legends experience for the next few minutes, but
in general, yeah,
much less unpleasant knowing that he now is even on farm, well, even on gold, pretty much, and doesn't need to worry too much. You can see the Dragon has been started up. Epic Avalanche for the second game in a row are the ones who are securing these early objectives, and Lastus in the top side has gone onto Carl. Can't really fight a minion wave, gets a lot of damage down by Papai, cannot follow up, no ultimate for the snipe down as the Dragon is secured on the bot side. Lastus, the gank was okay, but it's not really worth a Dragon unless he can push it further, and that's exactly what he's trying to do. Carwox sitting around under his tower, takes a little bit of poke, but Graves is there. Carwox collapsed on the end of the line. Is it time? Yes, it is. Parlay for the kill.
Oh, and Culling was up in just a second for Carwox. He would have loved to try and clap back with that to try and punish Bluewhites for this aggression, but unable to do so. Mirza now trying to find a fight.
Yeah, going to be able to get the ultimate down. Teleport coming up through, and the Silas is blinded. He needs to be careful. He's going to be sniped down. Pomo gets the sniping through himself, but misses all of it almost. Manages to hit the satchel charge, but not much else. Will be able to take some tower shots. It's Mirza.
Auto!
Careful, one more auto. There it is!
Pomo
trusted Silas, and now Silas is dead. Pomo picks up the kill.
It's so devastating for Epic Avalanche, because whenever it just looks like they're going to be able to find themselves a play, like right there, Silas dashes in. It looks so good for him. He's soloing away the cannon barrage, but then Graves presses one button and says, yeah, nice try, kid. Sticks down the smoke screen, and unfortunately, Mirza is just blinded to the fact that there's anything that can come back at him. The nice TP that follows up, able to get involved and find the kill here. I think we're going to get ourselves a little replay of that entire sequence of events. This is just a very simple parlay to death. Sheen and Grasp of the Undying doing enough damage right there. And as we see here, Mirza makes his way up, strolls through the lane, and keep your eyes on the smoke screen. Mirza jumps in. And the second that smoke screen goes down, he is absolutely oblivious. Just no idea what's going on, where to be going. Red Smite comes down, and after that, we just sort of see it's all doom and gloom. There's a TP that follows through as well. And there we go. Pomo follows up. It's a nice satchel here to pull him back in just about. And then a nice bouncing bomb, actually, that sets him up to be taken down. And good acknowledgement from Pomo that he's got the flash. The damage will do enough. That final short fuse is, as we mentioned, just enough to find the kill. So overall, very strong. And now Carvox.
In top side, and Carvox.
He did.
Take collateral damage. Jonas needs to be careful. The tower's there, and there's no wave for Bluewhites. But another kill in the top side. In the bot side, Desrem needs to be careful. Mirza there. VL is in support. So is Turbo Gandalf, and Desrem gets hit by his own ultimate. Should be able to walk away from this one at this time, though. And a lot of wasted time from Epic Avalanche. They do manage to keep Desrem off the wave and get themselves a push, maybe some plates as well. But ultimately, not that much achieved as Mirza moving towards the mid side. Pomo not going to poke? Okay, never mind.
Well, today I learned that when Silas steals Moonlight Vigil, it steals the gun as well. So Infernum, actually one of the best ones to be stealing. And, obviously not in an isolated 1v1, but was still pretty cute regardless. Maybe looking to see if there's anything else to come from this Silas in this game. Obviously got First Blood, but didn't really get anything else out of it from his laning advantage. You can see that there's a strong lead for Pomo outside of that. And now Desrem should go down. Flash available.
He's going to get stunned, rooted up as Defrin coming through. Does he have the ultimate? He has the shield. Now they're going to try and turn this back. Jonas is there. Flash ball from Desrem very aggressively with his 3v2, and he will go. Burning VL joins him. It's a 1-for-1 and a 3v2. And Defrin, be careful, buddy. Don't overextend. A little bit of poke's fine, but in the top side, Carwox is going to take more than a little bit of poke. He's burning low. Can't get the re-engage over, doesn't have the culling available, and actually with the push in top, could be in trouble. Defrin could be in trouble on the bot side, though, as Rift Herald will join the two members of Epic Avalanche. They're going to try and get as much damage on this tower as possible, and actually with the charge, we'll be able to secure this one. So once again, Epic Avalanche get a big cash in on the bot side, but it's only Kha'Zix and Yuumi, and Kha'Zix loves cash. Yuumi, a little bit less convinced.
True. And this is that, or rather the bot lane sequence of events. Are you familiar with, nursery rhymes in school and stuff?
Oh, absolutely.
Well, I'm gonna give you a little bit of a test here about your Summoner
Okay.
School nursery rhymes.
Right.
There's an Aphelios rhyme around the guns that Desrim had right there, and I wonder if you're familiar with it.
Oh,
It's very
absolutely
simple. It's a
not,
couple
no.
of lines.
Okay, do you wanna teach me? We can learn something new here.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, there's a general rule of thumb when playing against Aphelios. It is red-white, do not fight. Now,
Okay.
right there, we saw Chakram, we saw Pistol, Shotgun, and that was a whole lot of damage. Desrim in the 2v3 was handily able to deal with the sort of onslaught that came through, and until Yones joined the fight, that would have been a victory for Desrim down in the bot side alongside Defrin and the tools that he was able to provide. So, Summoner School 101, thank you very much, Rudude. Red, white, do not fight.
Don't know if it's Summoner School 101, more like Summoner Primary
Well,
School.
yeah.
But,
Yeah, okay.
It's good. It rhymes, so therefore it must be true.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
Mr. Rule. Mirza needs to be careful, because his name ain't rhyming with very much at the moment.
That's a slippery slope to try and find a rhyme for that one.
Astus gets some damage down. Yones takes a decent chunk. VL as well. And it's like going through from Desril. Epic Avalanche are going to try and put their own out with the Lucian, with the Sivir, as the damage coming through onto Graves is pretty huge. The end of the line, collateral damage not coming through from Mirza, but neither does the ultimate, neither does the Vigil from Desrim. And it's
How
kind
many
of a
can
case
we
of
miss?
everyone's just missing all their skill shots, basically, and poke compositions, yeah, they work with VL.
Never mind.
We'll be able to escape, because that's a lot of healing coming from Yumi. The Ziggs ultimate, of course, goes wide, and now might have control over the entrance to the pit. And there's the Cullen going directly into Pomo. Does need to be a little bit careful, throws out some bombs, because that's what Ziggs does, and here's the fight in earnest. Things have started to land. Look at Yones on the side. He's going to look for an assassination, but Bad Pie is pretty big right now. Members of Epic Avalanche have been forced to back away. Kha'Zix on the side, but there's no one isolated. Everyone on Blue-White is in the same meter on the map, really, in the same two Teemos, and VL takes a lot of damage once again. Can anyone find the pit? Can anyone find the assassination? Everyone's so low. A little bit of poke is all it takes. Blue White will be able to get the objective, but they lose the first member of the fight. Yones is the one who's turned on and needs to be careful, but dives directly in, just goes down. Bad Fight gets healed, and now look at Mercer on the side. He's all alone and will be burnt with the Inferno. Garwox looking for the damage, gets 2 shots, but takes 1 too many himself. It's a triple kill for Lastis. VL runs to the wind. Blue Whites with the objective, with the fight, take it away.
And in what may have been the worst dragon setup of today's games, it's Blue Whites that come away with the fight right there, blinking health bars for the majority of that fight. It was so close at so many instances. If one single skill shot hits, the entire fight turns on its head. Unfortunately, Epic Avalanche don't quite come away with the lead. It's Blue Whites that make the execution happen and that come away with the team fight. They come away with the dragon, and now with this slight lead in their back pocket, this is where their composition with the Ziggs, with the Aphelios on these one-item spikes now can really start to dish out damage.
It was looking good for Epic Avalanche. It was, but now things have evened up once again. In fact, a small gold league, less than a grand, so nothing too spooky for Blue Whites. But we asked at the beginning of the game, Blue Whites behind, how did they play? Turns out, fine, can't hit skill shots around Dragon. Epic Avalanche, we asked, how do they play when they're ahead? Little bit scrappy, can't hit skill shots around Dragon. So, my question is, Rift Herald, A, who's going to take this fight? B, can they hit their skill shots? Because...
Well, I think that the question B relies on the answer to question, or answer to the question A relies on the answer to question B, no?
The answer is currently yes. Yones coming on through, and there's a nice ultimate coming through from Yumi. Pomo needs to be careful as the damage coming down with the last as he's going to be bundled onto. And now the dive coming through with the culling. Pomo gets to get the dodge away, but it's not going to do too much with the ultimate coming through from Silence. It's going to be able to secure a double kill for Kha'Zix. That's 3 in the morgue. Epic Avalanche take a fight and could take themselves a Rift Herald.
And if we go back to Summoner Preschool here, 4 is greater than 3 simply with Epic Avalanche having more numbers at the fight. They come away with it. They come away with the lead. They now win themselves out on a topside skirmish. They get the Rift Herald as well. Desrim gets a wave in the mid lane, which is nothing really when compared to all of the gold that has just gone into Epic Avalanche's hands. And with this Herald as well, the turret in the top lane, everything that is coming up Epic Avalanche right now, you know, this is their battle to stay in, Talia, right? And they're putting up a very strong showing for it.
They are. They're fighting tooth and nail to survive, and of course, winning this one isn't the end. They need to win another one after it. With Blue Eyes only really losing this one they're going to be fine the next one, you'd imagine, because they're a very, very good League of Legends team. But when it comes down to a best of one, anything can happen. We're 18 minutes on the clock. Gold is in the favor of Epic Avalanche once again, about 1,000, 1,500 in the lead. And now the question is, this gold lead, what can they do with it in the coming minutes? What can they do before Baron spawns? Or is it just going to be chilling out and waiting? Because Yonez, he's looking towards Desrim, and he's looking towards Lastis. The Graves does need to be careful. He's able to flash away, but a lot of damage coming on through it. It's 2v1. The Graves just doesn't win. Yonez picks up a killing spree.
Isolated against a Kha'Zix. Never a position you want to be in. And using the Prowling Projectile as well to find some damage. Okay, Mega Inferno Bomb doesn't quite hit the marker right there as Yona is able to handily hop away. Want to quickly point out his build path as he surely takes down Deferin.
Deferin, buddy, you're not meant to be there. This is the wrong neighborhood and gets cut to pieces. Yone's tastes the fear and picks up another.
And Bad Pie is, well...
Execute, because...
Oh, this might have something to do with it. This could very well be some reason why Bad Pie found himself betwixt two turrets. We'll have to wait and see. Sounds like it's connection issues.
It was a bit of lag on the Lulu, on Deferin, who also died. So, I mean, that one makes some sense. The execute also makes sense, not going to be caught out by the Lucian. Not sure why you were there in the first place gangplank, but cool. And Bluewhites, in the last couple of minutes, and in this game entirely, have been making more mistakes than we saw from them in the first game.
Yeah, handily. Without a doubt. And Epic Avalanche, to their credit, are capitalizing on every single misstep that's coming forward. This is the power of Kha'Zix and Yuumi, is if somebody's out there extended without a friend, they're most likely going to die. Kha'Zix is very strong at picking off isolated targets. We've seen Evolved Q and Evolved W, so still waiting on what level 16 holds, most likely going to be that. Honestly, I can't predict it. It really is player preference to see where they go, and it's not very often we see junglers hit level 16 either, so we'll wait and see for that one. But at present, evolving those Void Spikes is going to provide a lot of utility in team fights, and fortunately for Kha'Zix, Evolved Void Spikes, not a particularly difficult skill shot to hit.
No, it's pretty big. It's easy to land, and this is something that we need to start seeing, because Bluewhites, the one time that they had a really good team fight this game was around that dragon, and it's hard to call it a good team fight because struggled to land any skill shots. But Yonez couldn't find a way in because they were all grouped together, and Kha'Zix, when he dove in eventually, he dove into 4. So he just got absolutely murdered. There was no damage to follow through because no one was isolated. He's having success right now because he's going around with Yuumi. So they're committing 2 members to this whole let's go and just murder people situation. And they're just finding picks, they're finding people on their own, and they're grabbing kills, which is
ideal. Yeah,
it's ideal. And now the case is, next time there's a team fight, next time that they have to win a fight where Kha'Zix has got a lot of this gold injection, is Yonez strong enough to not need to find those isolated targets? Or is it going to be a struggle once again for Epic Avalanche?
And unfortunately, I fear it's the latter. Finding any sort of teamfight success on Kha'Zix when Bluewhites play it quite as nicely as they did the first time round is going to be very difficult. Now, the caveat comes that if Bluewhites are getting a little bit flustered by these picks, get a little bit put down in their mentality around this Kha'Zix, maybe get a little bit spread that they're not expecting, there's a very real possibility that we see Jonas have the carry performance that is necessary on this Kha'Zix. So, and again, I wanted to touch on this prior to him picking people up, but this is the rare L9 no mythic Kha'Zix build right here, with currently Umbral Glaive and the Serpent's Fang coming through, both very strong items right here. I've not seen this build typically before, but I am a big fan of it right now because both of the passives that we've got are doing so much work for Jonas right here, acting that he's got 2 sweepers essentially, which on Kha'Zix is even more important because he thrives in stealth. And then obviously the shield reduction from Serpent's Fang up against Deferin, up against Desrim is going to be very useful.
Desrim searching forward. The dragon is on the map. Harvox on the side gets a nice culling down into Bad Pie. A lot of damage into Gangplank, and there's the other coming through. You gets the root down, and so much is coming through. Epic Avalanche rolling through, burying Bluewhites. They've got nowhere to go. It's a 5-0 dragon. That's not what Epic Avalanche want. They're moving towards mid tower. They can pick it up with 1 member. The rest of them move towards the Baron. Absolute annihilation.
Right, Perun, that was the epitome of Epic Avalanche's team fighting right there. Mirza stole away Pomo's ulti. The Mega Inferno Bomb on a Sylas is a lethal duo, being able to secure a massive team fight right there. And we talked about it. The counter to Kha'Zix is being grouped. Guess who loves people that are grouped up? A, it's a Mega Inferno Bomb. B, it's a Sivir. If you want to stand there and tank Boomerang Blades, she's going to happily layer them on top of you. Have a look at this. Carwox lines them all up. Yuumi with the final chapter slams them all down. Mega Inferno Bomb across 5. Serpent's Fang is dealing so much damage reduction, and there's really no way through this fight. The fact that Carvox and Yones live, maybe a little bit of luck on their side, but the fact that Desmond doesn't get any kills, very, very useful, because he's currently sat on the components of Runans, would have been sat on the entire thing had he picked those up. So you're seeing maybe a little bit of pressure that Blue-Whites may have needed not really go their way.
Well, Blue-Whites in a massive hole. 6,500 gold behind. Baron behind as well. They lost out on the Dragon, but that's a little bit less relevant, you've got to imagine. But what do Blue-Whites do? What's their solution here?
At wards, you know, and obviously Yones is looking to try and take them out at pretty much any given instance right here. That's the beauty of Umbral Glaive, the beauty of sweepers, but they can't go into their jungle right now. They need to be going as a party to clear their camps, to put vision down, because Kha'Zix is going to be lurking. If they don't see Kha'Zix, they don't walk into their jungle at this point. They've had the realization that now they can't do anything up against this Kha'Zix if they walk into it. So now they need to play to this team fight strength, right? They need to be sitting, winning on their composition, and now Badfight's just dead.
Nowhere to go, and it's going to be a very, very easy
big Ziggs.
Actually, you know what? He's still alive. He's going to survive a little bit longer, as now the Yones needs to be careful. Tanks one more tower shot, but does manage to get away. Members of Blue-Whites are down here, but so are reinforcements. Yuumi, you know what? Maybe he's not low. Maybe he's fine, because Yuumi's here, and the healing is massive. They're going to be able to take down this tower in the end. It was a pick. It wasn't particularly clean, but Epic Avalanche is so far ahead, it just doesn't matter.
Now, what was the one item or the one sort of statistic that we'd picked up that Blue-Whites were going to need this game?
Not be on blue side.
The other one, the Yuumi pending one.
Oh yeah, they have.
I see an Oblivion Orb. Now, granted, Ziggs is a very good user of the Executioners and of the Grievous Wounds passive, but that is not enough this time round. You can see that if Ziggs isn't in a fight, and we got a perfect example of it right there, where wait, how
has that happened then? Okay, that one makes a little bit more sense, but like, Lastis isn't winning that 1v1. But
unless he is.
But Kha'Zix also had Baron buff, so had increased reads. I don't understand.
There's no logic here. It doesn't get. We don't understand what's happening. I guess
he's half health, but
okay, that's generous to call it half. And he takes this fight against a wall. Now Graves is a pretty good champion when you jump on him. You know, more shots hit, because he's got 3 bullets coming from that shotgun. If all 3 of them hit, that's a lot of damage. Eclipse actually does barely enough there to keep him alive with the shield that it provided. And regardless of Serpent's Fang, the notion that it was there was simply enough.
I mean, it's not that deep kind of thing. Yes, Lashes gets the kill, but Epic Avalanche is still super far ahead, have control over the entire rift pretty much. Blue-Whites need to. They've got tools if they can get late enough. The issue being is right now, it's difficult to see them getting late enough. 9,000 goals behind. Basically, every member being very susceptible to just kind of dying immediately. You look at the gold leads across the board, and what, 1,500 in the jungle, 2,000 in the mid lane, over 2,000 in the bot lane.
What I would say to that is, whilst all of these points are very relevant and very correct, they do have Ziggs. Now, it's very rare that you're able to say they have one champion and that simply counters everything. But without Baron, Ziggs is enough to stop the game. And that means you need to take Baron, which means that we need to wait another 2 minutes, which is enough, which is time for them to be stalling. It means that they need to walk into a choke point to take said Baron, which is good for Ziggs and good for Gangplank as well. So, whilst obviously EA are by far and away the more advantageous position, it's not all done just yet.
Dragon up in 5. Lastus gets the pick down. That's so much damage. And there goes Kha'Zix. There goes Yuumi. Double kill for Graves. And goodness me, the fight is going to continue. Carbox getting the culling down. Doesn't get poked out himself, but does need to be very, very careful as members of Bluewhites moving forward. They've got the man advantage. They've started up the objective. Can they get a steal? There's no smite available for Epic Avalanche, but a lot of damage is. It's not going to be the steal, though. It's going to be the Dragon going over to Bluewhites. And okay, that's pretty scary. Mercer in the mid lane will look to try and take out an inhibitor tower. Should be able to do so because bats are a little bit slow. And actually, the clear from Gangplank ultimate will prove to be enough.
Yeah, this wave not going to come in time before those resets, and Bluewhites actually capitalizing on the bot side of the map as well. Desrim should get this turret here, uses the nice Severum gun to finish off that job, and Lastus is going to get Mercer.
Actually, look at the sustain, and Lastus needs to be careful. Gets taken down. Bad by there now. Defrin there now. Pomo goes down on the backside. VL picking up that one, but it will be traded. Bad by gets murdered, and I think Defrin goes the same way. Gets the shield, gets the run out. But Mercer's chasing forward, has a double, looking for a triple, gets the triple on Delulu as she tries to get through the gate. And yes, Desrim's back, but Epic Avalanche once again proving, yeah, they might lose one play, but they don't lose the next.
You know, it's just a bit of an overstep for Bluewhites, getting a little too greedy, and unfortunately, it is going to cost them big time. We look at the death timers, then we look at the respawn on the Baron, and anybody will be able to tell you that that is not looking beneficial for the Blue-White squad. VL should get this.
Yes, the slow, and yeah. Okay, Ace goes over to Epic Avalanche and the Baron as well.
Well, that will most likely be the Baron unless we see any sort of heroics coming through. This is how those picks really started off right here. It is just a case of stepping into your jungle, and unfortunately Lastus finds Mercer in a sort of awkward position. Good stasis, and Kingslayer is, unfortunately enough, to buy the healing. Lastus really not respecting that one, and I feel like Bad Pie's a little bit lost here. This is the power of Lucian. We also did see VL on the backside just annihilating, but this is obviously a very weird situation for Defrin because his entire team's died, but as a single Lulu, you don't really have the power to get anything going. And as we come back from the replay, we can see Baron is off the board. Blue-Whites don't have it. Epic Avalanche handily will have picked that one up for themselves.
And I believe it will be on all 5 members, which is exceptionally good for Epic Avalanche because, as you said, they need this to push through to 6. And now they're going to be able to. Blue-Whites going to have a pretty rough few minutes as they try and defend inhibitor towers. They've got nothing else to defend because they're already gone, and Bad Pie just going to be trying to get rid of as many minions as he can before retreating away from Mercer. And now Epic Avalanche, this is going to be crucial because if they can't crack the base here, it's going to be a struggle, but if they can, it could be game winning.
And you can see that Bad Pie is actually sort of testing Mercer right here. This is a 2-level disadvantage for the Gangplank. I would not advise this, but if you get support from the team, he's got the flank ready.
Yeah, they're going for it. Defrin going through. Bad Pie going through. A lot of damage is being thrown left, right, and center. Yone actually very, very low. Takes the Ziggs ultimate, but survives with the Yuumi, but not the Gangplank ultimate. Now Carbox is in trouble. Going to get stunned up. There's collateral damage. There's the follow-through, and Pomo picks that one up. Blue-White take out 2 without reply and might be able to press forward.
Yes, Epic Avalanche have the lead here, but if they're splitting up the fight, if they're finding numbers advantages, they may not be done just yet. Mercer gets away with it here, but with Lulu at the back, there's not enough chase potential.
On through. He doesn't need to chase if they can get the collapse. Mercer finds no way out. Goes Gordon. It just doesn't matter. He's going to make a nice dead statue as it's a shutdown for Desrim.
Plus 1,000 on the Aphelios. That's going to feel good right here. VL.
Now behind VL. Epic Avalanche are overextending across the map. Can Pomo survive? Can Pomo get the damage after? He might have overextended, but gets the satchel and the ult to safety from Defrin. Civid this time gets out, but Blue-Whites, they're playing aggressively and they're picking things up.
Yeah, so long as Pomo doesn't die, there's always a world where Blue-Whites come back in this game. Remember, their core wave clear comes from this mid laner. Has the Void Staff, has the Ludens as well for a little bit of extra added juice. We'll be feeling very, very confident with their capabilities on this pick. And not going down there is crucial. Burn the TP, they burn a few summoner spells out of Turbo Gandalf, but importantly, VL keeps the exhaust, didn't have flash to burn, but is in a very strong position still on this Sivir. 3-1-7, having a lot of gold in their back pocket right now and having a fair few items to go with it. Now going to be feeling very confident. I have to say this once again, Viperoon, that we're seeing Defrin pick up a different item to Chemtech Putrefier, and up against Yuumi, it's just not the right call.
I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed. But
Because if Ziggs does die, that's it.
this is true. Pomo is the crucial member of this team right now. He has been in this series, and it's doubly so since he's the only one that can really deal with anyone on Epic Avalanche who's got the Yuumi on them. And there are lots of good Yuumi targets this game. The Lucian has proven to be very...
Stolen Ziggs ult.
Around, but has to throw it so he can reset. Bad Boy needs to be careful. Lastus on the side. As they manage to actually get the root down onto VL, it's going to be chased away. A lot of damage coming through. There's Gangplank ultimate, but Desmond forced to back away. Bad Boy and Lastus need to be careful. They're going to get the resurrection out of the Kha'Zix. He might get taken away down the wall. Lastus nice Yuumi ultimate, forcing the rest of Bluewhites away. Mercer's there, and he's just so healthy. They will be able to get one. They will be able to get two. And Bluewhites are chased down. Defrin's the next target. Will he be able to escape? No, he won't. Desrin wrong side of the rift. Triple kill for Mercer. Can he make it a quadra? I don't know if he will, but someone picks it up. It's going to be Yones. That's the ace, and they can move forward. They can crack inhibitors. They might be able to get more.
Yeah, the game should be within their sights right here. Viperoon, they managed to take the fight, and albeit Red-White was present, but Desrin wasn't really. That fight was fought on EA's terms. They used the GA from Yones to perfectly bait people in, and after the fact, they were able to this single-handedly here find a strong team fight. With the Nexus turrets now exposed, it may be a little bit close here, Viperoon, but they're going to go for it.
They're going to go for it. First Nexus tower goes down. Still no one on the map. Second Nexus tower goes down. Still no one. Bad Pie's there, but the Nexus laid bare, and the damage coming through is just too much. Epic Avalanche tie up the series.
And if those death timers were 2 seconds shorter, I feel like Bluewhites may have been able to do it. But Epic Avalanche, they come back and they say thank you very much. We're going to take game number 2 here, force you to that third game. And honestly, this series keeps on delivering. Red side continues to have that priority. And we'll have to see how it goes in game number 3, Viperoon, because honestly, this could still go either way.
Just pick red side. We're going to jump to a short break. When we come back, it's going to be our third and final game of this series and of the evening. Who's going to go into tomorrow? We'll find out in a few minutes.